Charles Coughlin was a stage actor whose career skyrocketed in the 1870s. However, being at the peak of his success, he died after a short illness that overtook him in Galveston, Texas, where he came on tour. He was buried at the local cemetery, but it seems that staying in a foreign land was not part of his plans, and he decided to escape to his homeland, choosing a very peculiar way to do this. Charles Francis Coughlin was born on June 11, 1842, on Prince Edward Island, Canada, to Francis and Amy Marie Coughlin, poor Irish immigrants. But the young man did not live in Canada for long. A rich, childless aunt who lived in England decided to take care of his future, so Charles ended up in London, where his guardian began to prepare him for a career in law. However, nothing good came of this venture, because at the age of 15, the teenager told his aunt that he dreamed of becoming an actor. In an attempt to convince Charles of the right choice, his aunt gave him an ultimatum. Either he continues to study law, or she stops supporting him. The 17-year-old chose the latter, leaving home and joining the troupe of Sadler's Wells Theatre in Islington. Realizing that he had achieved everything in England, in 1876, Charles Coughlin, at the invitation of the theatre manager, Augustin Daly, went to conquer America. He made his Broadway debut on September 12, 1876, as Alfred Evelyn in Lord Lytton's Money, and was an instant success. This work was followed by other equally memorable roles. The peak of his 25-year career is considered to be 1898, when Coughlin played the main role in his own play, The Royal Box. The 57-year-old Charles appeared on stage for the last time on October 28, 1899, after which he decided to start writing plays and staging them. It is said that even before becoming a famous actor, Coughlin visited a fortune teller in England, who told him that he would become a great actor, but would die at the peak of his fame, and his spirit will not be able to find peace until it returns to the place where it was born. Although Charles had never been superstitious, the fortune teller's words alerted him, so he asked his family to bury him on Prince Edward Island when the time came. At the end of October 1899, Coughlin, having played his last role in the theater, gathered a small troupe of actors and went to the city of Galveston, Texas, where he was going to stage his new play, Bridge of Luck, which he had just finished. Since everyone knew about Charles's desire to rest at home, his body was placed in an airtight metal coffin and buried in a crypt at the Galveston Cemetery. It was assumed that this was his temporary shelter until someone from his family came to take the body to bury the actor for real. Whether it was an accident or not, about a year later, on September 8, 1900, Galveston was hit by a powerful storm, accompanied by hurricane-force winds and multi-meter waves. This hurricane claimed many lives and became the worst natural disaster experienced by Texas in its entire history. One of the places severely affected by the storm was the cemetery. The next morning, when the locals, having overcome the rubble, reached the cemetery, they were shocked to find that the crypt where Charles Coughlin's body rested had been destroyed to the ground and his coffin had disappeared. It was clear to everyone that the coffin had been swept out to sea. The Actors Association of New York, of which Coughlin was a member, immediately offered a large reward to whoever found the coffin and returned it to the cemetery. So the search began, in which many fishermen and enthusiasts participated, hoping that the coffin could not have sailed far, and it washed up on the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. Years passed, but there was no news about Coughlin's coffin, and everyone already thought that he would never be found. However, in October 1907, about 7 years after the terrible hurricane that struck Galveston, a coffin was spotted on the coast of Prince Edward Island near Charlottetown. His children found him and immediately informed his parents, and they informed the authorities. Imagine the surprise of the Canadian authorities when they read what was engraved on the bronze plaque attached to the coffin. Charles Francis Coughlin, June 11, 1842, November 27, 1899. It turned out that in some incredible way, the coffin crossed the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean, having sailed more than 5,000 kilometers, and returned to the place where Coughlin was born 65 years